All right, hey, what's going on? This is Shaan. In this video, I want to talk about scary irrational thoughts and how anxiety can actually lead to scary irrational thoughts. Now, I made a similar video about obsessive thoughts, the constant what if. You know, when you constantly get affirmation and assurance from people, but you just keep thinking, oh yeah, but what if this time is different? What if the palpitations this time are actually the onset of a heart attack? What if people actually do think I'm feeling, that they could tell I'm feeling anxious? That's the obsessive kind of what if thinking. Now there's another side of anxiety that I kind of want to make a separate video about, and that is scary irrational thoughts. And they kind of feed off one another, but they're also kind of different in their own way. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Shaan. I struggled with anxiety and panic attacks years ago. It was super debilitating, but since then I fully overcame it, which means no longer I have any lingering anxiety. I haven't had a panic attack in years, no depersonalization, nothing like that. I've been exploring the world, I've been traveling, I've been having a great time, I've been very productive, life is great, and I get the great fortune of helping others do the same. So if you're struggling with scary irrational thoughts, stick around. I'll show you exactly why that's happening and what you guys can do to overcome it. Stay tuned. So I'm really going to be asking two questions. These are two questions that you're probably asking yourself. Why do I have so many thoughts in the day, and why are they so scary? Okay, so these are probably things that you're probably thinking about. They kind of surprise you. These thoughts are so they're so frequent, they happen so much, and they're so strong that it scares you. It makes you feel like you're going crazy, that there's maybe something seriously wrong with you. So let's go into the first point. Why are you having so many thoughts? So you have to realize that when you're dealing with anxiety and when you're dealing with panic attacks, most of the time you don't really know what's going on. Most people are ill-equipped to understand why they're having anxiety, why they're having panic attacks. So naturally, because these feelings are so strong, they suck so much, especially with panic attacks, because you feel like you're gonna die. But then also with anxiety brings on a lot of physical symptoms, a lot of thinking, just feeling crappy in general. What you're trying to do is you're really trying to stop all this from happening. You're trying to avoid these feelings, right? Naturally, anybody would. But what happens is that when you're constantly trying to figure those things out, why am I having a panic attack? Why is this only happening to me? Why doesn't this happen to anybody else? Like, why am I not getting the help? Why is the medication not working? Why is CBT not working? Why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? All these things you kind of have these thoughts, and these thoughts become automatic. You start thinking becomes a default, while most people, they just chill, relax. Thinking is just not a default. They only think when they're at work or when they're doing something where they need to figure something out. When they're not doing that, they're not thinking constantly, they're not going 24/7 constantly thinking about things. And when you're dealing with anxiety, you're always trying to figure things out. So thinking becomes habit. It becomes automatic. So what happens is that most people don't recognize that these constant what if thinking, you're having them automatically. These are going to happen instinctually. So, palpitations could turn into, you naturally think, oh, well, what if this is that? What if this is this? Now, the thing about anxiety is that you've already built up this habit of what if thinking, which people neglect and people kind of undercut, even though it's very strong. But also, because they're in high anxious states, what that leads to is thinking the worst case scenarios. So, you have a palpitation. Instead of saying, oh, well, what if this is just anxiety? What if this is just all it is? Like, couldn't that be it? What most people think is, no, what if it's heart disease, or what if it's that? Now, anxiety forces you to kind of think in the worst case scenarios, right? That's how it stays alive. It stays alive, which means you got to understand, if anxiety stays alive in the prehistoric time, 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, if anxiety was alive, chances were you would also be alive. So it's trying to stay alive, because if it stays alive, it keeps you on your feet, and the chances of you staying alive 100,000 years ago makes total sense. The problem is that staying alive now doesn't really matter. We don't have those same threats. We don't have a saber-toothed tiger trying to chase us down. So these what if situations being the worst case scenario, it just doesn't apply in 2019 or whenever you're watching this video. Which leads me to the second point, which is, why are these thoughts so scary? So you have to realize that when you're dealing with anxiety, emotions are tenfold. Emotions are magnified. Whatever you feel it's always like, it's literally tenfold, it's multiplied. And here's the interesting thing, when I was struggling with anxiety, I would have these scary, irrational thoughts too. And then these thoughts could be anything. But now that I've fully overcome, I don't really have these thoughts anymore. I mean, because my mind's kind of is healthy now, and like, my nerves aren't as sensitized as they used to be. And, I'm just back in balance. I can get these thoughts and I can just quickly dismiss them. Like, oh, they're just thoughts. Like, they're just thoughts. You don't have to ruin your day about it. But when I was dealing with anxiety, it was the complete opposite. Thoughts like that would throw me over the edge. I mean, it would ruin my day at times. So these thoughts can be either ones. Like, these thoughts can be like, what if this, what if this is me forever? What if this is, why I feel the way I do? But it can also just be anything. When I had my first panic attack, I actually had it when I was reading an article about space, totally bizarre. And what I ended up thinking about which kind of triggered my anxiety, which, by the way, that's not specifically what triggered my anxiety. My panic attack was kind of a buildup of a lot of stress at work and a lot of emotions, a lot of family stuff that was kind of going on. Not really family, but more personal stuff that was going on that kind of led to the panic attack. But I remember reading an article about how vast the universe is and how many, there's 100,000 stars in our galaxy and there's 100,000 galaxies in the universe, and just thinking how big the universe was. And I was thinking, man, we're really alone. Like this, it's like, man, there's like, what if there's nothing? What if there's no other species out? What if like Earth is the only one that has, life on Earth? And that scared me. And when I was dealing with anxiety, I used to think about that. I used to ruminate about that and be like, man, like, we're just so alone in the universe. And it would throw me off. And I would feel so nervous. I'd feel so anxious. I'd feel so sad about it that I ended up seeing a therapist about it. Now, the therapist, I mean, she obviously tried her best. Nothing against therapists, but I don't think she was qualified when it came to this. This is my own personal opinion. And so what happened was she was trying to figure out why is this emotion so strong? Why is this feeling of being alone in the universe so strong for you? And so she tried to figure out my past, about what, did I have some sort of abandonment issues? Was I just lonely in general? Did I have insecurity? She was trying to follow this track. But the reality was, I was thinking that way as an offset of anxiety. See, anxiety sometimes needs an outlet, and it needs a way to escape. And so what happens is that one of the ways it can kind of escape your body through an outlet is by scary, irrational thoughts. And so what ended up happening was I went down this rabbit hole with a therapist that led to nowhere. I mean, she tried to figure things out. Maybe she figured out a couple of things that I, was helpful, but it didn't help me overcome anxiety. I was still struggling with anxiety. But what ended up happening was, instead of going down that path, I just focused on, look, these thoughts are there. They're just thoughts. Just focus on getting stuff done, what makes you happy, just enjoy that. And what ended up happening was, once I fully overcame anxiety, I don't think like that anymore. Like, I don't think about, we're alone in the universe or something like that. Actually, on the contrary, I look at it as like, wow, like life is so precious. Like, look, like we're the only people in the universe. There's nobody else out there. Like how amazing is that? And like, instead of going, oh my God, we're alone, to like, that's, wow, that's a blessing. Like, what are the chances of us being alive? Now, the only same individual, the only difference was here is that this person was anxious and this person isn't. This person was a little bit more rational and logical. He's not having a fight or flight response. He's just thinking in a more calm state. So really, this is why, people who struggle with, scary, irrational thoughts, also struggle with anxiety, or people that struggle with anxiety also deal with scary, irrational thoughts. Now, let's be a little nuanced here. Let's be a little smart here, okay? If you're struggling with this, you have multiple routes, okay? So if you genuinely feel like, no, like these scary, irrational thoughts come from some sort of trauma in the past or something like that, by all means, see a therapist, get that stuff addressed. But, if you're like me, or if you're like many other people, these thoughts can seem scary, they can seem concerning, but really they're just an offset of anxiety, And so the best focus would be to focus on your anxiety. If you focus on the anxiety, once you kind of calm down, these thoughts just don't occur anymore. And even if they do occur, I still think about, the wonders of life, and, I think about certain things, but they just don't have the same impact on me. So if that's you, focus on the anxiety. You know, you don't need to go to a rabbit hole to try to figure out, why are you having this specific thought and what does that mean? It could just be an offset of anxiety. So be discerning. Now, if you guys want to know more, Shaan, this is exactly what you're talking about. I get exactly what you mean. But I don't know how to fully overcome. Like, how do I overcome this? Like I haven't been getting much help. I don't know what to do. Well, if you're serious about fully overcoming, becoming free, have the life of your dreams, just being happy in general and being at ease, I have a private Facebook group down below. The community is great. Now, in this private Facebook group, I'm showing exclusive content that I'm not posting on YouTube. I'm not posting on Facebook or any other social media platform. This is content specifically for the group. So if you're serious and you guys want to know, and you want to know more how to overcome this, how to figure this out once and for all, no longer try to cope, but just focus on being ultimately free, click that link below. When you hit that link, it's going to ask you to join the group. When you hit join group, it's going to request 3 questions. It's very important that you answer those 3 questions. If you don't answer those 3 questions, I can't promise to let you guys in. We obviously want as many people in as possible, because we really want to focus on a community that really helps people on fully overcoming. But we also want to maintain the integrity of the group. We don't want it to be another Facebook group or another, whatever forum where people are just kind of story topping each other and going to a place with high anxiety and just scaring everybody else in the group and just unnecessarily diagnosing people, stuff like that. We want this to be a place where people can really focus on fully overcoming. So if that's you, hit that link below. If you guys like this video, also do me one quick favor, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. If you guys want to go further, next to that subscribe button, there's a little bell symbol. When you hit that bell symbol, it'll notify you every time I drop new content, which is great for you guys because hopefully you guys are getting great value from this from these videos, and it also helps out the channel a great deal. So thank you so much for watching. Click that link below. I'll see you guys inside.